Hello everybody, I welcome you to the final video of this session about difference equations. In this final video, as you can already see on the slide, we will talk about systems of difference equations, and we just focus on first order difference equations. Sometimes this is also called so-called VDEs, and V stands for vector difference equations. Because when we have a system of difference equations, of course, my x of t is now not just one x of t, it is an x1 of t, there is an x2 of t, and so on until to an xn of t. So there are many n first order difference equations. And of course, I can then rewrite these as there is an x of t, and now let's use here the capital X because it's a vector. And then we have a matrix A times my t minus 1 plus my vector B. Now, of course, this matrix, if this vector here is an, as we have seen here, an n by 1 vector, then this matrix is, of course, n by n. Yeah, so that we obtain here from this, we obtain an n by 1 vector. My beta is also an n by 1 vector, and of course on the right hand side my xt is an n by 1 vector. And you see n by 1 vector plus n by 1 vector gives me an n by 1 vector. So let me write this here precisely. It's a 1, n by 1. Yeah, because you see when you multiply this matrix times the vector, so this dimension here must be the same. And what we obtain is then what is here in the first position and what is here on the last position. This is how you can see that the dimension is matching. Okay, so A is a square matrix, n by n, multiplied with my vector. And the question is, of course, how can we solve this system of difference equations? And in principle, it follows exactly the same idea as we discussed in the last video. The only difference is we have now vectors and matrices. That's the only difference, but the idea is the same. So let's do it step by step. Step 1. In step 1, of course, we have to differentiate in order to get the general solution. We use our theorem. We have to do it for the homogeneous part, where b is put as 0, and for the inhomogeneous part, where we do it in steady state. So for the homogeneous part, let's first do the homogeneous part, which is a more difficult one. Inhomogeneous for 1 point, as you know, it's relatively easy always to do. In the homogeneous case, this simplifies to x of t. Then I put this on the other side. This is my matrix A. X of t minus 1 is equal to 0. The b is now put to 0. That's a homogeneous case. Okay. And now, as we applied and said in the case above, so let's define a solution. And we defined it xi to the power of t. Yeah, that is where we said, okay, let's say my x is xi to the power of t. Here, we say, okay, let's have some constant m and a theta to the power of t. Yeah? And that is what I plug in here. So my xt is m theta to the power of t times a times m, and that is then theta t minus 1 is equal to 0. Well, so we can factor out, on the one hand, the theta, t minus 1, and we can factor out an m, which is a constant. And what do we have then inside the bracket? Well, we would have here my matrix A, and here I would have then a theta, because this is theta to the power of 1, right? That gives me my theta t. But given that we have here a matrix which is n by n, we also need here an n by n matrix, so we have to multiply here with the identity matrix n by n. Yeah? That means all my thetas are on the main diagonal of this identity matrix, and that is multiplied with this scalar m, and here with the scalar theta t minus 1. So The question is again, when is this zero? Well, my m is a constant. This is non-zero. My theta is my solution. That is also non-zero. So this is only zero if and only if the determinant, yeah, if this term here, yeah, this term or the determinant of yeah, I can switch the order, right? I can multiply this with -1, of course, and then I can write it a minus theta I if this is non-zero. If this is zero, if it's non-zero, so if the determinant is non-zero, if we say the determinant is non-zero, yeah, then we can find the inverse. And just to remind you, this is called then this matrix here, for which we calculate the determinant, is called non-singular. But here we now search when is the determinant zero, that when is this guy singular? Yeah? When is this singular? So what is this determinant? If you look, well, it's a matrix A, and you know the matrix A have entries A1, 1. And then we subtract on the diagonal, yeah, with a theta, of course, call it theta 1. And then we have here the entry A2, 1. We have here the entry 1, 2, and here we have the A2, and we also subtract here, let's call it a theta 2. Yeah? From my main diagonal. And now we have to find the determinant of this matrix. You basically know what it is. So I will make it a little bit shorter. So this determinant can be rewritten. And I think, yeah, I think it's better not to, I have not to display, I think that's, it's just theta. It's, look, it's theta has no index here, so I cannot do an index 1 or 2, it's just theta. So it's then, because if you then do the determinant, you will see that's that's theta square times the trace of A times theta plus the determinant of my matrix A is equal to 0. And what is this? This is a square function. This is a square function. That means this has two solutions. It has a theta 1 and a theta 2. Yeah? So there is a theta 1 for which this is 0, and there is a theta 2 for which this is 0. Yeah? These two thetas, yeah, which we can calculate from this, because the trace is a number, this is a number, these two are called the eigenvalues. These are the eigenvalues, yeah? So there are two eigenvalues because it's a square function, a theta 1 and theta 2, for this determinant, or for this matrix, we equal to 0. So in order you forgot what the trace is, let me remind. So if we have a matrix A, the matrix A is A11, A21, A22, A12, then the trace of the matrix A is just the sum of the determinants. The determinant of A is the product of the main diagonal elements minus the product of the off-diagonal elements. Okay, that is what you should already know. Okay, so suppose we have now, given these are numbers, we get some numbers here for theta 1 and theta 2. Then, in order to really have the, we already defined. So what did we say? We say, okay, my x of t, we said, remember, we said my x of t is some m theta t. And now we see, okay, there are two. So there is some, basically m1, a theta 1, plus some m2, theta 2 of t. Yeah? The question is, what is this m1 and m2? And now what we will see, that these m1 and m2s, These are the so-called eigenvectors of this problem. So eigenvectors and eigenvalues you have learned already, right? In high school and in the first semester mathematics class are very fundamental because it gives you a deep insight into what are the matrices about and what is the dynamics of these matrices, and therefore we need these in particular when we talk about differential and difference equations. So how can we find the eigenvectors? These eigenvectors for this problem of my difference equation. So in principle, we come back to this matrix problem. So we here have the 2, 1, the 1, 2, the a 2, 2 minus theta. And now we look for elements m1 and m2, and this is basically my vector m when this is 0. Yeah, and we do this for both cases. We have to find when theta is 1 and when theta is 2, and we have to find the corresponding vector mi, yeah, for these, for the first eigenvalue and for the second eigenvalue. So if you calculate this, I did it, for the first eigenvalue m1, you can show that this is 1 over minus a11 minus theta 1, that's the first eigenvalue, over a12. And for the second eigenvalue, you get an m2 with a little m1 and 2 element, which is 1 over minus a11 minus theta 2 over divided by a12. So these are the so-called eigenvectors. Yeah, these are the what we call the eigenvectors. Okay, and that gives me then the homogeneous solution at t. Of course, there's always some constants we can determine by initial conditions. It's my m1 times my theta 1 to the power of t, some constant c2, my eigenvector m2 times my theta 2 to the power of t. But look, this is just the homogeneous part. In order to have the general solution, we also have to do the inhomogeneous part, and then we add up both. The homogeneous solution plus inhomogeneous gives me the general solution. Okay, final part, we have to look what is the inhomogeneous solution, yeah, in this case. Well, as I already said to you, this is very close to and very easy to the same example we discussed above. So if I rewrite this equation, my vector difference system of difference equation or vector difference equation, it's my matrix A, t minus 1 is equal now to my B. But look, in the inhomogeneous case, yeah, we just assume that xt is constant, it's at my steady state. Yeah, so we plug in here at steady state minus A in steady state equals B. Well, that can be rearranged. I can factor out my steady state value. Then I have here my matrix EE, of course. And now we have not here 1, we have here the identity matrix, which is 1, of course, at the main diagonals. And now you see, of course, my steady state is simply, if I bring this A identity minus A inverse, if this inverse exists, times B gives me the inhomogeneous solution. That gives me the inhomogeneous one, so that we can say the general solution of this problem of a vector or a system of first order difference equation is the homogeneous one, which is, as we said, the constant times eigenvector 1 theta 1 to the power of t plus constant 2, eigenvector 2 plus theta 2 to the power of t. Or I did the, right, I wrote the, not as a superscript, I always did it as a subscript here, 1, 2, plus the inhomogeneous solution, which is the identity matrix minus A inverse times B. And that is the general solution of a system of first order difference equations. So if we have 1, 2, or 3, or 4, or 5, or 100 of different equations, as we often have when we work with big data, we have lots of different equations, 100, sometimes 10,000, and if we want to solve it, here it is. Yeah, that's the solution. Okay, so with this I will end this brief introductory or the primer into difference equations. Of course, in my literature you will find books where there's a detailed study of differential equations as we did in class and difference equations as I did here in these short videos that are very important concepts every student should have learned in the first mathematics course in the first semester. If not, take a look to these books, study it, and recommend to the professor to teach these topics because they are essentials in any course, whether you study business, mathematics, physics, informatics, computer science, whatever. Differential equations are important. Why? Because the world is dependent on time. Time is running. So if we want to make a precise modeling of reality, all our problems, all our functions are dependent on time. And when we have functions dependent on time, we have differential equations if their function is continuous in time, or we have difference equations if we have discrete time measurement points today, tomorrow, and so on. That's the crude and the important point why we need to know something about difference and differential equations in a science as here in economics. Okay, have a good day. See you soon. Bye-bye.